organize a labor union of some type inside this warehouse, or because he deliberately put people at risk?
Yeah, the stories vary between the two parties, but both are in a tough position because Amazon is seen as basically the Red Cross to a lot of people, right? People that are susceptible to the coronavirus, they are relying on Amazon. But in the same sense, you have these workers working side by side, and they're taking the position that Amazon doesn't care about our safety, right? So you can kind of see both sides. This is one of those thorny, complicated legal questions where there's room to argue both positions.
And lawyers will find room to argue both positions, even if there aren't both positions to argue. But I digress. The bigger question, though, is this. Amazon, to your point, is seen like the Red Cross, and you've got 80,000 people that they've hired so far. Obviously, hundreds of thousands of other employees who are putting themselves at risk to make sure that folks get what they need. How does this get decided? Because courts are out, lawyers are working from home, OSHA doesn't have standards. Where does this get decided?
Well, Leland, we are a little bit in the wild, wild west right now. But from Amazon's perspective, as literally one of the most valuable companies in the world, they have to be so careful to protect that reputation because real damage can be done during this crisis. A lot of people relying on Amazon, but they can't be tone deaf. They have to make certain that they optically take the right steps to protect these workers, because I think everybody sympathizes with them. We're all scared of this coronavirus.
Well, Amazon, to its point, has said that they're going to start taking people's temperatures and have put in new regulations and protocols, et cetera. We'll see how that plays out. You point out we're in the wild, wild west in terms of laws and things that we never really had to think about before. Down in Kentucky, a judge has ordered a couple of people who came from Louisiana and were positive with the coronavirus to wear an ankle bracelet because they didn't stay in their house in self-quarantine. Is that where this is headed, that suddenly now people are going to be monitored and held prisoner in one way or another in their own homes if they don't do what the doctors tell them to?
That seems really draconian to most people. But in the same sense, both state and local municipalities have a tremendous amount of leeway with respect to what they can do to keep their borders safe and to keep their people safe. So I don't know if this is a slippery slope. I don't know if we're going to see more of this.
Real quick, though, we saw, National Guard troops in Rhode Island checking people coming off trains, and then we heard about checkpoints in Florida on I-95, et cetera. And that all went away pretty quickly with some threats of lawsuits, et cetera. Is there a point that nobody really wants to test these laws?
Well, people don't want to test these laws, but in the same sense, like you mentioned, most courts aren't even open right now.